We are going to build two shadow puppets today, a frog and a rabbit. Okay, first we're going to cut them out. I'll start by cutting out the rabbit. Just going to cut along here. And there is the rabbit, right there. And now I'm going to cut out the frog, like this. This one is the frog. And here we have a blank piece of cardstock. Now this is kind of like paper. I might even refer to this as paper sometimes. But it's thicker than paper. And I could have made a second frog here pretty easily. I could have given everybody two frogs. But I thought, what if you wanted to make something else? You know, you could use this piece of cardstock to make a frog, or you could use it to make something else. So you could also use it to make a hat for the frog if you want. So there's a lot of things, or if you mess up on your frog, you might need to use it to repair a piece of your frog. We have 4 pieces to cut out. We have 2 pieces for the frog and 2 pieces for the rabbit. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut right down the middle here. So we have, this is the frog's head, and this is the frog's backside. Okay? And we'll do the same thing for the rabbit. We're going to cut right down the middle. And here is the rabbit's head with the little rabbit ears. And here is the rabbit's rear end with the little cottontail. Now some people are going to be saying, wait a minute, does this project require a hole puncher? Well, you know what? I used to have 5 or 6 of these hole punchers, but I've stopped using them. I've stopped using them because I've discovered during the pandemic I had to figure out a different way. I mean, I couldn't give everybody a hole puncher. So instead, I've decided to use one of these, a sponge. Yes, it's a sponge. It's important to have a dry sponge, okay? I'm going to take my sponge. I'm going to take the frog body here. You can see the little round part where the hole is supposed to go right there. I'm going to take that sponge and a pencil, and I'm just going to punch through, just like that. It's just that easy. I'm going to take all of these, and I'm going to punch right through where the hole is supposed to go. It's best to do this before you cut everything out, when you have a bigger piece of paper. So now we're ready to start cutting out our frog, all right? And I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to start cutting on the lines here. And I'm going to cut all the way down the piece of paper, but then I'm just going to cut off. I'm going to leave the lines for a second and get rid of this extra piece. You know, this extra piece, if you just leave it hanging there, it's going to get in the way. I don't like it just hanging there. I'm going to get rid of it, and now I have a new place to start over here, right where I left the line. I can jump back right where I started, and I can go all the way down, and I can cut like that. And I've done the same thing again. I've left the line here at the end. Now I want to cut this little foot. I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to try to get as close as I can. You know, you don't have to make it perfect. Oh, I left the line again. And now I'm going to go ahead and start over here and do this little dippy part. You know, you might have to help your children. If you have toddlers at home, this is the one part that they're not going to be able to do themselves. You know, you can get them you can give them these scrap papers though, and let them cut it. Just let them go like this. Let them practice cutting. That while you're cutting off the frog's face here, they can that doesn't sound right. They can go ahead and cut the other pieces of paper that you have. Here we have the front end of the frog. It's all cut out now and ready to go. We still have to cut out the rear end. So now I'm going to cut this part out. You know, it's funny. A few years ago, I was at the Contemporary Museum, and we were making shadow puppets with parents. And one of the things they said to me was, "Can you make a simpler puppet?" They thought the puppet was a little more complicated than it needed to be. And I think adults we generally tend to make things a little bit more complicated than they need to be, I think. You know, but I tried to make this frog and this rabbit, I tried to make them a little bit simpler. I tried to make them just a little easier to cut out. So now we are ready for the next step. I'm going to use some colored pencils. But you could easily use markers or crayons if you have them. I'm I'm also going to use a pencil. I'm going to use that. What I want to do is I want to use that pencil because I can't erase the colored pencil. So when I'm making my eyes especially, I'm going to make an eye right there. Make another one right there. And then I'm going to make the mouth. I'm just going to make the frog's mouth right there. Okay? And let's see here. Do I like that? Because I made it with a pencil, I can erase them and make them bigger. I want to make them a little bigger so they have enough room for a dot right in the middle. So I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger, like that. Okay. And now I'm actually going to take a marker because I've lost my black colored pencil. But I'm going to be very careful with this marker. First of all, I have a piece of paper protecting my table. Whenever I use a permanent marker, I'm going to use a piece of paper to protect my table. And now I have made a little dot. Let's look it up close. I've made a little dot inside each one. So now I'm going to use the colored pencils. I'm going to use a green pencil for the color of the frog. You could use a blue pencil and make a blue frog. You could make a red frog or a pink frog. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of orange frogs out there. I'm going to make orange spots on my frog. So I'm just going to make spots along the back of the frog. That's usually where a frog has spots, is along the back. So I'm just going to make 3 or 4 spots here on the frog's back, like that. And I'm going to make a few on the back of the front side too. You know, we want to make it look like the two sides match. So I'm just going to make a bunch of spots like that. So when we put them over here, I think we need a few more spots here. Need a spot there and a spot here, I think. And one more spot back here on the very back of the frog. And now I'm ready to go green. We are going to make that whole frog green. If you want to go ahead now and skip ahead, you can skip ahead and watch the part of the video where we assemble our frog. And then you can play with your frog. Or maybe you want to skip ahead to the part about the rabbit and how we're going to make the rabbit. What color do you think the rabbit should be? I think the rabbit should be wearing clothes. I want to give the rabbit, you know, why do rabbits always, you know why rabbits have clothes, right? It's for them to put their little pocket watch. They can't have a pocket watch if they don't have pockets. So here we go. The frog is ready to be assembled. Now I am ready to go ahead and draw and color my rabbit. I'm going to go ahead and make a line right below the tail. I'm going to go right below the tail. I'm going to make a line right there. Can you see that? Everybody see that line? Make a line there, and I'm going to make another line in front of the hole. You can see the hole. The hole is right there, and I'm just making a line like that in front of the hole. Now I also want to make a pocket, so I'm just going to make a square. But I don't want to make it too close to the hole. If I make it too close to the hole, you won't be able to see it. So I'm going to make the pocket right back here. And just to make sure, I'll put that on and make sure it doesn't get covered up. That looks good. Make a line right there. I'm going to make a line right there in front. And I'm going to make one right here as well. And I have made a square right there next to the arm. In fact, next to the arm. I'm about to make the arm. There isn't an arm there yet. I'm going to go ahead and come out and make a sleeve up like this. So now, do you see the sleeve? Now the rabbit has an arm and a little cufflink. I'm also going to take 2 lines underneath the chin here, and we're going to make a shirt. We'll make that into an orange shirt. Now this rabbit also needs decorations for the face. I'll give it a round eye. I thought about giving it sunglasses. I also want to give it a little pink nose and a little mouth in the front there. So now our rabbit has a face and a jacket. I'm going to use blue. I'm going to give this is going to be like a blue blazer or maybe a blue peacoat. I'm not going to go too dark. I'm going to use this blue pencil And I'm just going to softly push. I don't want it to be too dark because I'm probably going to end up going back over it with that black marker. Now I'm going to use orange, and I'm going to give this little guy an orange shirt, like that. And I got to decide about that little cuff. Should it be white? Should it be orange? Should it be blue? I think I'll make it blue, but I think what I'll do is I'll make an orange, like a round little button. You know, I've been thinking about this, and I'm really trying to decide, should it be a white rabbit or should it be a different color rabbit? We could make our rabbit brown. Most rabbits are brown or tan, aren't they? I think we should make this rabbit brown. I don't want to have a white rabbit, mostly because it's hard sometimes to film if something is all white. So I'm just going to very lightly take this brown color and very lightly go over the rabbit's face. And there's no reason it should be a white rabbit. I mean, it could be a snow bunny, right? You could have a rabbit in the snow. But this is a Missouri rabbit. It's going to have a white tail. It's going to have a white tail, but the legs... Now, sometimes they have white spots. Did you know that? We could leave a couple white spots, maybe. Could. But I like the brown. Now our rabbit is finished. What do you think? Okay, now we are ready for the fun part. We are going to go ahead and assemble our puppets. Okay? Now I've gone ahead and used both sides. I've made both sides here have color. So when it flips around, it'll still look the same. I've also gotten the brads. Each puppet needs one of these brads. And you should have gotten the brad when you got the puppet from me. So if you can get the brad, we're going to go ahead and stick it through the arm like that. So it goes all the way through, and we'll flip it over, and we'll stick this through on the other side, and we're going to open up the brad. And I have a helper. You know, a lot of us have helpers at home. You know, sometimes we need to find something for our helper to do. But right now I have a rabbit. Now this rabbit is all done. You could play with it like this if you wanted to. Or you could put a stick on it so you can hold it with a stick. But right now I'm going to use some straws and put some sticks on them. Now you could use pencils or you could use chopsticks. But I like to use these bendy straws like this. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cat in the window. And then I'm going to tape these straws on. But I do have some tape. I have some masking tape. And I'm going to use that. And I've just cut a little bit off the end of the straw so it's not quite as long. And I'm going to put that tape right on there like this. And then I can flip the puppet over. Let's just start with this one. And I can put the tape right there in the middle like that. I can stick it down. And you might need to adjust it. You do not want it to tape both pieces together. Okay? We're taping one piece on one side and one side only. All right? And you can fold the piece down if you want. You can fold the tape over like that in the corner. That'll give it some strength. You can also take your colored pencil. The nice thing about this masking tape is you can take your colored pencil and you can color over the tape. And you can make it so you can't see the tape. Or that so it's hard to notice the tape is even there. And that way, if you want to use your puppet on both sides, if you want to have your puppet, let me show you. If you want to have your puppet turn around and go the other way, you can have your puppet moving both ways. The bendy straw also means that you can bend it out like that, and you can hold it at a right angle like this, and it's a little easier to operate now. Got a nice little puppet there. We're gonna put this tape on the other one too. These guys are all finished. They are ready for a puppet show. Are you ready for a puppet show? Now, you don't have to use puppets to make a puppet show. One of the things I like to tell kids is you can use your toys. You don't have to make your own puppets. You can find all kinds of good stuffed animals or action figures, and you can do puppet shows with those. Or you could use both. You could use this bunny rabbit, but you could also use a teddy bear. There's lots of things you can use to make a puppet. One more question I have is, what are you going to do with this blank piece of cardstock I gave you? If you wanted to, you could take that frog and you could turn it over and take the brad off, open it up, take it apart, put it on that piece of paper, and get a pencil. And you could just trace around the frog, and then you could end up with two frogs. Okay, don't forget to make the little mark where the hole goes, all right? Or you could get your pencil and you can free draw. You could draw something else on here, couldn't you? Don't make it too small. If you want to make a puppet out of it, don't make it too small or you're not going to be able to put the stick on it, okay? Make sure it's not, a lot of kids, the kids want to make tiny little drawings. Nope, make it as big as the frog, okay? Maybe make it bigger than the frog, I don't know. My cat really likes them. Try not to act like they're toys for the cat if you want them to last a long time.